Right. 14 January 2026. And today I'm excited to be giving you the morning update. And today we're going to be looking at quite a lot of things. There is a lot that is taking place in Africa, and especially to do with the elections in Uganda. So there is an election that is going to be taking place on the 15th in Uganda, and the excitement has already started in that country. And there is a lot more happening in Iran. So we are watching Iran very closely. The airspace of Iran was reportedly closed last night as we expected something to happen over there. And I'll be giving you guys updates regarding all these important events as they happen. And then tonight, we've got the AFCON matches. The Africa Cup of Nations is going to be hosting the quarterfinals. That is tonight. And therefore, tonight, we're not coming live in the evening. You'll be able to see the soccer match without any disturbance from politics. So that is where we are as things stand right now. Obviously, there is a lot that is taking place in America. President Trump is doing a lot. He gave a long speech yesterday, which we're all watching. And that was a very interesting speech. And you can go and watch all the speeches that President Trump has given. However, the United States has made some very important announcements overnight, including ordering all the Somalis to leave by the 17th of March. So all the Somalis on a temporary permit, which was created for Somalis, have been given up to the 17th of March to leave. So to go back to Somalia, their country, after Somalia has raided the warehouses of food, as I explained last week. So all the Somalis have been asked to leave. And we've also seen the designation of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt as terrorist organizations. So all these things I'm telling you are happening in Africa. And Africa is the center of everything that is going to be happening right now. You've also seen South Africa having military drills with Iran, and that is going to have an impact on South Africa as an additional 25% tariffs have been imposed on any country doing trade with Iran. So it's a crazy, crazy situation that is taking place, but we're going to see more taking place across our continent. Now, let's go to our headline. And today we are waking up to the appointment of 2 new boards by Mnangagwa. So what happens is that a minister like Barbara Rwodzi, she would recommend a board, and then that board would be confirmed by Mnangagwa. And today we've seen the appointment of 2 boards. That is the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority and the MOTDC, the Mosi-oa-Tunya Development Company. So these are very important boards. Zimbabwe's tourism used to account for the majority of the funds coming into the country. In fact, tourism in Zimbabwe was the top earner, even more than mining and tobacco. At one point, tourism was as big, almost giving 8 to 10% of our GDP. At the moment, tourism doesn't even make up 2% of the GDP of Zimbabwe, and everything has shifted to Victoria Falls. However, there are 2 massive developments that have taken place, and this is because of a project that was started by former Minister of Tourism, Walter Muzembe. So Muzembe started a project way back in 2013, and this project was called the Disneyland of Africa. So his vision was to create a non-water, so non-see the water tourism for Zimbabwe, which will result in tourists coming to Zimbabwe to visit Victoria Falls, not only for purposes of seeing the water, but for purposes of enjoying other things other than seeing the Victoria Falls. So that project was called Masuwe project. So I hope that I've got this correct. So it is $120 million dollar project, which is supposed to be a multiple, or what we can call a multiple use project. So let me just display how it looks here. So this is how Masuwe looks and what it's supposed to look like. So this is going to be a city next to the park and right next to the game park. So there was going to be Masuwe Special Economic Zone, which was proposed here in 2013. And then we have the city of Victoria Falls. And then you have the Zambezi National Park over there and the Zimbabwe River boundary. And you can see the Victoria Falls down here. So these are massive projects that are supposed to take place in Victoria Falls, and a board has been appointed for it. And what is strange is the inclusion of a high number of ZANU-PF activists in the board. So one of the key names that are in this board that you all know without a doubt is ZANU-PF Masvingo activist Mnangagwa. I always struggle with this name. Mnangagwa has been appointed in this board. We also have other people like Charumbira, Makombe, and these are all ZANU-PF, well-known ZANU-PF people who have been put in this board. And we've got a bunch of people from the ministries. So a whole bunch of people in the ministries coming into these boards. And you ask me, why is this a problem? It's a big problem because there is no serious investor who is going to come into a board that is full of ZANU-PF people instead of specialists. Of course, there are specialists in this board. There are people who are not political appointees, people that are in the industry. But I'll go to that. There is still a problem. However, the putting of ZANU-PF people into these boards, almost 50% is ZANU-PF activists. The other 25% is ministry people. And only the chairman or so will be someone that is independent. Look at the past chairs of the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority. So I've done an analysis here. So if you look at what has happened, it's a Farai Chimba who has been appointed on the ZTA board right now. So that is the appointment that was made this week. He is the GM of hospitality or the Victoria Falls Hotel. But look down here, you will see Ozias Vute. I think the Ozias Vute somewhere there. I'll show you on another graphic. The people that we have here, James Mshore was a NMB founder. Emmanuel Fundira was in tourism. Shingiminyeza, Shipomtasa. So we used to have people that are quite well known as chairs, and obviously that is continued. However, we never used to have so many ZANU-PF people. What we used to have is people coming from certain hotels. So you can look at Victoria Falls Hotel playing a big part, Africa Sun, Shearwater, Africa Sun, Africa Safari Lodge. So this is how they've been appointing the boards. However, in this case, in this particular case, the biggest problem that we have is the packing of ZANU-PF activists into the board. And given the fact that tourism in Zimbabwe has stagnated, this is a very bad idea. In Zimbabwe, what has happened is that all the other tourist facilities, so the biggest tourism facilities, it's Wange, Great Zimbabwe, Matopos, all the game parks around Kariba. There's about 4 game parks around Kariba. There's no one going into those game parks. Everyone just goes to Victoria Falls. And the rest of the places, no one goes there. So instead of having a balanced sort of board, Rwodzi has recommended a board that is full of ZANU-PF members. And instead of making sure that you have someone that is coming from a more strategic focus, they have continued with the hotels. So a hotel, so someone who's coming from a hotel, they're only interested in getting people into their own hotels. They are not interested in developing tourism. So this ZTA board, and then West, the Mosi-oa-Tunya MOTDC board is even worse, because if people think that this is just a political board, you're not going to get any investment in there. So these are strange, but mostly because they have packed them with ZANU-PF people. So imagine having someone who has never done anything in tourism in the Tourism Authority Board. That is what we're having. And not only that, last week, the Ministry of Finance has advertised that those people who want to be in boards must come forward. I have put this on Gambakwe so that you guys can apply. Where have you seen the advert for ZTA and for Mosi-oa-Tunya? Have you seen it being advertised anywhere? So these are being done in private with no one knowing that these are open position for board members. So we have a serious problem at ZTA, and tourism in Zimbabwe is going to remain tourism at Victoria Falls. That is what you're going to see going forward, but with more ZANU-PF people inside. So more of ZANU and less of tourism, and this project is under a big threat in terms of funding. Who is going to fund such a project when it's all ZANU-PF? So that is what we have for the headline. You can go and check out all the announcements and all the people in the boards. In fact, let me name the people in the board so that you know all of them. So for ZTA, we've got Farai Chimba, Lazi Makwezwa, who is the vice chair. And then we've got Charles Munganasa, Charity Mugutorima, Jeffries Manjengwa, I think he's a journalist, Gamuchirai Mangundu, Millicent Sibongile Mombeshora, Godfrey Paspanonja, Tarirai Musonza, Napoleon Nyani, who I think is like an artist. And then we've got the Mosi-oa-Tunya Development Company. This one is very interesting. It's got the chair is Phineas Makombe, vice chair Sheila Hawa Sidambe. Then we've got Priscilla Charumbira, who is ZANU-PF, Jarawani Struggle Kangara, and then we've got Andon Venson Kashiri. All these are ZANU. Sherina Sibanda, Jemason Mpariwa, Mukara Tirwa, Phineas Gweme, Donald Simbarashe Mabiza, who is ZANU, Comfort Chinengundu, Gladys Chinyere, Pindile Nube, and Rashid Mudala. You can see that these are all, okay, 75% of this board is either ZANU or a ministry person. So how can you have such a board when you want to be serious about tourism? That is the problem that we have at the moment. All right, I think we've covered that. So go check it out. There's nothing we can do. ZANU is taking everything. You have seen yesterday the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe producing a report, a quarterly report. I did look at it in detail and I showed you the weaknesses. But did you see anything from Professor Gift Mugano? His mouth is tied tightly. He can't talk anymore. So if you join ZANU-PF, you have joined a cult in terms of being unable to speak. So he's not able to speak, and he must be feeling so much pain to see a development like a quarterly report being produced and you can't talk. So this is what is happening with our people. The current government of Mnangagwa is surrounded by incompetent people. Not only incompetent, but the system of patronage in ZANU-PF is a very big problem. Zimbabwe can do very well, but because of patronage, things don't work. The roads are not getting fixed because Tagure is there and he's not fixing the roads. Now we've got tourism not working because they've pegged the boards with the wrong people. You've got people like Professor Mugano being unable to speak just because they've signed some secret contracts. And it goes on and on. People that were normally in the opposition who could give guidance and who could criticize ZANU-PF are all gone. They've taken 30 pieces of silver, and it's a terrible, terrible shame for Zimbabwe. Then in terms of other things that have happened, we've got an announcement by the Zimbabwe ambassador to the United States So the Zimbabwe ambassador to the United States is announcing that he is not the one who has been begging for money from people. So Ambassador David D. Hamadziripi has had people receiving messages from him saying he needs assistance. Ever since he moved to America, things have not been going well and he needs money. Some people have even given money. The messages have been coming from his number. So he's got a South African number and the message has been coming from there. So this statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, that is, I cannot even see properly that name, but she is saying this is not him and he's not in trouble. He doesn't need money and you must ignore the messages. So I don't know if it's true or not, but that is what it says. It says you must ignore any messages that Ambassador Hamadziripi is looking for assistance. So go check it out on the ministry website. And then we've got other new developments in Zimbabwe, the most painful of which is what has happened at Bedbridge yesterday. I don't know how many times I have to show these pictures. So yesterday, 33 children between the age of 13 and 15 were taken again at the border at Bedbridge, crossing into South Africa without documents. So we saw a group that was crossing last week to Zimbabwe, and that is they spent the holiday with their families and now they're going to school. Now we've got another group that has been intercepted at the Bedbridge border. And this group is of 33. They've been intercepted and now in the custody of the social services in South Africa. And 2 men have been arrested after they facilitated the crossing. So as I said, there are 2 problems we have. We don't have passports. People don't have passports. They are going to continue to cross. And the families live on both sides of the border. It's not a crime to go and see your mother in South Africa. And we need to address the price of passports in Zimbabwe. In South Africa, a passport costs 300 rand for a normal passport. In Zimbabwe, a passport costs 4,000 rand for a normal passport. So we need to address the cost of passports because that is why these kids are traveling without passport. There's no reason for them not to have passports, except for the fact that they cannot afford the passport. So let's say you've got 3 children, you don't have 12,000 to pay for passports. So they are now in these hands of the social services and parents must go over there and pick them up and face the law. Because once you do this, they either keep the kid or they keep you. So I hope that they address this and send back the kids to school. And then we've had the situation at the courts, Harare Magistrates Court, a convicted housebreaker has been arrested after he attempted to escape. He escaped for 1 hour inside of the Harare Magistrates Court yesterday. He's called Itai Madongo. So he is a convict and was coming to face more charges. So he managed to grab hold of one of the prison officials, stabbed him with something and disarmed him and then wore his uniform. So after this happened, he disappeared inside the Harare Magistrates Court. It was locked down for an hour and then they managed to get hold of him. And you can see that he has been handled here by the prison services. This is the 3rd escape and a 2nd failed escape, with the last escape coming 2 weeks ago when a convicted prisoner who was just about to be released drove away with a car that he was fixing. So I showed you that last week. We also had 2 people who escaped at the prison. And then we've got an escape that has taken place at Plumtree. That man has never been found. He is a serial killer who has not been found ever since he escaped. So we have a problem of escapes taking place in Zimbabwean prisons. This never used to happen before. So it's happening because obviously there's lax security and corruption. So people are being handed. In the last instance, the person was handed an AK-47. So they were able to get an AK-47. This one was able to get hold of a knife. The guy at Plumtree was able to somehow escape, and the policeman has been arrested for that. And then the guy at Harare Remand Prison, Central Prison, was given a car to escape. So this is total corruption taking place over here. The system needs to be cleaned. So the system is very dirty at the Harare Prison Services. People need to be fired here, and it needs to happen very, very quick. And speaking of being fired, I don't know if I can say this is being fired or not. So I want to be very careful because I don't want to say something bad or wrong in this instance. So we've got a change that has taken place here, and it's a very big change. So one of the brigadiers has been relieved of their duties and they've been retired. So that is a promotion takes place when you are retired. And let's go and look at what has happened here. So on the screen, the man that you're seeing there, who is being given Nyembe, or who is being promoted, is actually being retired. So it's just not being promoted, it's being retired. And Mnangagwa said it's going to retire people. So I don't know if that is part of the process. So the commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, General Emmanuel Matatu, the man on the right, has conferred the rank of Brigadier General to Major General Tom Jefta Munongwa at a ceremony in Harare yesterday. So I don't know if he had reached the age of retirement, which is 75 or 70. I don't know. Or if he was just retired. It is not clear from this story what has happened here. If this retirement is due to age, I don't think he's 75 or 70. I don't think so. But that is what has happened. And therefore, he's no longer in the Corps of Engineers. And he was also obviously abroad. So you can go and check out this story inside of the Herald newspaper. Herald newspaper, very small today. I've never seen such a small Herald in my whole life. So you can go and check it out. I think it's one of the smallest copies I have seen. So look at this very carefully. What is going to happen in the army of Zimbabwe? Last year, we had a massive change at the level, at the very top, at the general's level. Are we going to see more changes at the brigadier general level, at the major general level, at the lieutenant level? Those levels at the lower end, are they being changed? So I will be following this very closely. By the time Mnangagwa comes back, a lot would have happened. And let's see what happens in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Then in terms of the H Metro, we unfortunately have a man that is being looked for by the police. So on your left, there is a man in dreadlocks. That man is being looked for by the family. So for the matter of the man on the right. So let me show you. That is the man on the dreadlocks. And then on the right is the man that was killed on 1 January. So this man with the dreadlocks is wanted by the family. He killed the man on the right. So that is Boda Muringai on the left with the dreadlocks, killed innocent Tinashewata Mutepea, who is the man on the right. And then he escaped. So you can go and check out the details inside of the H Metro newspaper. So said, people are harming each other a lot because of Christmas. When people are drunk, what you should never do in Zimbabwe, don't be in a crowd. So when I'm in Zimbabwe myself, I normally don't go where people are gathered. So be like me. Don't go to a place where there's a gathering. You can easily, a small issue can turn very deadly. Like you stepped on my beer, or those silly things that happen where there is a gathering, or you looked at me the wrong way. So avoid public gatherings, because this kind of things happen and then it becomes a terrible disaster. So this is what has happened over here. And then let's quickly look at upcoming things. So I'm particularly interested in the American politics. Watch the Americans right now. They are going to be doing a lot. So don't blink. Something is about to happen. So first, let's start with Uganda. The US embassy is closed for the elections. So from the 15th to the 19th, the Americans are going to close. So they're going to close the embassy over here. So that is because it is expected that violence will break out in Uganda. And we've got the two people that are going to be contested, Bobi Wine and Museveni. They contest each other. With Bobi Wine very, very popular, and Museveni very, very powerful, and he's already shut down the internet. And then, for the developments in America, President Trump will be speaking at the World Economic Forum. Watch this speech very closely, because we expect certain moves. So, a move on Russia, and we expect a move on Iran. Those moves are coming, and we expect the collapse of Cuba. I'm expecting that collapse to come. We're expecting to see a lot of other big things happening, and particularly around the big things that you don't normally expect. Expect something unexpected to happen. And then we've seen President Ramaphosa in the UAE. So the UAE is in between. They are not aligned as such. They're in between. So President Ramaphosa was over there. He's going to be arriving today back in South Africa. I've also told you about Somalia, where everyone in Somalia in the United States from Somalia has been told to leave by the 17th of March. They're supposed to leave the United States of America because their permits have been cancelled. So that is what is called the temporary protected status has been cancelled. So if you're from Somalia, you've been told to leave today up to the March the 17th because they've obviously crossed President Trump. Not a good idea right now. You cannot cross President Trump. You will lose very badly. And then let's go into some bit of business in Africa. So much happening, so many exciting things are taking place. But for Botswana, not so good. So Standard Chartered, Botswana has closed. So they are leaving Botswana altogether. After leaving Zimbabwe, Standard Chartered is leaving Botswana. They also left South Africa. There is only a corporate office in South Africa. So banking in Botswana is not as profitable as before. The economy has shrunk so badly because of their reliance on one source of income, which is diamonds. And if you walk into Botswana right now, you understand what I'm talking about. Not much taking place in Botswana. And then I think I want to look at Maputo just a little bit. Port of Maputo is amazing. So the port of Maputo is undergoing expansion. And last year, they moved goods almost 1 billion rands. And it's undergoing expansion. So if you're in Maputo, you understand what this is. Maputo is the most important port right now. And for Zimbabwe, Beira is becoming one of the most important ports. However, what is more important is the rail. Rail is becoming big here at the port of Maputo. And this is a supply line for Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho, and South Africa, with the Green Road Bank having a portion or an ownership stake of 25% in the port of Maputo. So we are talking a real business taking place in Mozambique. There was disruption during the elections, but that has been sorted out. We had a record year at the port of Maputo. So that was amazing. And then let's go into a bit of entertainment news. South African musician Nasty C, who is a rapper, has revealed that he has lost all his fortune of $45 million and is left with nothing. So he says he told this to 50 Cent during an interview yesterday. So you can go and watch it. It's so sad that this young man was doing so well and is now left with nothing. When I mean nothing, I mean he had to beg for money from 50 Cent. So 50 Cent gave him $5 million yesterday just to make sure that he comes back on his feet. Right, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Let's go to the newspapers. Let's start with the Chronicle newspaper of Zimbabwe. Then we'll be out. Tonight I'm not streaming, and today, if there's no breaking news, you won't see me again. So just like, subscribe to Gambakwe, and you'll see. I want to show you yesterday's paper from the Chronicle. So interesting. So there's a young lady called Wadzanai Manyore. She's very close to Mnangagwa. Very close to Mnangagwa. Like, I don't know why she's so close to Mnangagwa. Like, she goes to him a lot. So every year, she goes to Mnangagwa. So look at this. There's Owen Muda in a suit in a farm. Mnangagwa in a suit in a farm. The two people wearing a suit. And then you see Wadzanai Manyore over here. She runs some sort of farming program on TV, and she's very close to Mnangagwa. You can see her over here. Very interesting. And then what else is here that I wanted to see? Some young people did very well in Bulawayo here in terms of their results. So Bulawayo A-level high flyers reap rewards of hard work. So Bulawayo, one of the best places for education. Most of the people that you know that are prominent came from Matebeleland. And then let's see if there's anything else of interest here. Bosses flout month-old constitution. A legal storm is gathering at Highlanders after the club's advertised annual general meeting triggered complaints. Right, let's continue. Complains that the new constitution is already being banned barely months after it was adopted. Highlanders announced on Sunday that their 2026 annual general meeting will be held at the Highlanders Clubhouse on January 25. By Monday morning, Zimbabwe Sports Hub had been inundated with calls from paid-up members who believe the notice breaches the very constitution the club is supposed to adhere to. At the center of the dispute is Article 16 of the amended constitution, which says that submissions for any other business must be made 30 days before the AGM. So Highlanders has not given the 30 days, and that is crazy. So that is crazy as can be. Zimbabwe, no one wants the constitution. Everyone wants to do whatever they want to do. And then let's quickly look at the Star newspaper of South Africa and see what is over there. So the Star newspaper is the biggest newspaper in Gauteng, the richest province in the whole of Africa. So let's look at Ramaphosa over here, and then nothing new there. Let's look at Sanral levy hike overturned, and what else is of interest. AGOA extension puts South Africa in diplomatic crosshair. So I explained to you this yesterday. I don't have to do it again. The Gambakwe was probably the first person to publish this because I was live when they went and announced that. And then let's look at Malawi Times. So Malawi is doing so well in terms of media. So the Daily Times of Malawi, what are they leading with today? So let me quickly look at that. Human toll of drug stockouts, and then student loan recovery surges by 54%. Obvious, they will surge. The Malawi kwacha has collapsed. Guys, what is happening in Malawi has never been seen before. What we call the monthly basket, like what you eat at home, is now at 1 million kwacha. It's totally unheard of what is happening in Malawi. And inflation is too low. And that is crazy because the inflation is like 15% to 20%. But their currency is totally depreciated. So that is Malawi over here. So you can go and check out Malawi Daily Times. So that is an interesting paper. And then let's see what else is here. Who is this pretty young lady from Malawi? The project of police houses is already underway. So I don't know much about women from Malawi. So I don't know how to talk. All right. I think we've covered that. Let's go to our people on Facebook. We're going to start with obviously the people that we know. I'm going to start with, let's see who is posted today. Right. Minnie is posted. What is Minnie saying today? Minnie is a national treasure. She's the most popular person I know with 228 followers. That is amazing. 9 years later, once modded for style by Minnie, kunoviwa no kure style by Minnie. Let's see how she used to look. I want to see how she used to look. 2017. Minnie was wearing a dress. Look at that dress which Minnie was wearing. So she started this company in 2017. Are you guys seeing that? Minnie is amazing. So go check out Style by Minnie. That's a company. And look what she looks like now. And look how far she has come. That is amazing. And then let's go to President Hakainde Hichilema is facing an election. So let me see what he's saying today. If he's posted, Zambia is my second home. So he hasn't posted. And then let's look at President Tumaboko. So Botswana, as I said, they've lost one big bank. So that is a big impact. The South African banks are going to be in charge over there. So we've got FNB, Standard Chartered, we've got Bank ABC, big in Botswana. And then let's see what Hopo is saying today. Hopo is one of the most popular journalists, award-winning journalists. I bought this book in 1999. Go look at that book. And then so today my housekeeper reminded me that the crawly creeper of the cleaning in the swimming pools was no longer working. You can go and check out everything about Hopo. So Nina, I don't have a swimming pool. My house is smaller than a swimming pool. And then let's go to X. On X, we look at Chamisa, homeboy wangu. From Chamisa's village to my village. If I start working 6 by 8, I'll be there. We eat breakfast together. Let's see if Chamisa is posted today. So that is Chamisa Nelson, Pastor wangu, Arikubi. January 10, that's when he last posted. Uriere Chamisa, pano wambona were Chamisa, amuna we, uripi Chamisa. Chamisa wangu. And then let's look at Sanyatwe. Sanyatwe is going to contest in 2028. You are going to see him. He's going to try to be one of the ZANU-PF presidents. So what is he saying today? Nothing today. And then Opam Chinguri is on leave. So we follow these people. Opam Chinguri Kashiri. One of the Kashiris already got appointed in the Vic Force board. And then let's look at First Lady of Zimbabwe. She's on holiday. Wama Moyo. She's doing very well with the drugs. Anyone who fights drugs is my friend. So if you fight drugs, you're my friend. I don't like drugs. In my whole life, at my age, seeing me as I am, I have never tested a drug. I'm clean. I want you guys to be clean. Drugs are shockingly embarrassing. Murume mkuru, mama drugs. Stop it. We don't like it. It's bad. It's evil. If you see someone who's taking drugs, take them to Auxilia. Angel of hope. Sidzoro. Drugs. That is really personal. I think we've covered everything. Let's go to our sponsors. So we're going to go to there. This thing is so powerful. Guys, don't be without Mve. And this is the only original version. Talk pie on top of that. Shaka Zulu. So Shaka Zulu. Ukaona murume asinga mwima herbs. And this is Jofambase. Then let me tell you something that is happening. Guys, do you see how I look? That is because we're on 14 days of the AFM in Zimbabwe. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. fast. And I am still alive. No one has died. So for those who are working with me, don't stop. We're going for 30 days. And then after 30 days, we're going to announce the new investment program for AFM in Zimbabwe members. So AFM in Zimbabwe is the biggest church in Zimbabwe. Almost everyone that you know comes from the AFM in Zimbabwe. But they don't have a university. They don't have a school. They don't have nothing. All they have is the Bibles. So God has shown me a vision where we need to create a new kind of investment opportunity for members of the AFM. So we're going to be announcing, and this is not an official AFM program. It's for you to have money. You as an AFM Zimbabwe member, you're going to own what we're creating, which is going to be owned by the members. So Get ready. By the end of this month, we're going to announce it, and you can become a member. Want to raise so much funds, want to have a university for the FM, want to have schools, boarding school, and I'm talking about you as a member. You're going to own it, and we're going to make it happen. It's going to be amazing. And then for AI, artificial intelligence, I'm going to be announcing our course in the beginning of February. It's going to be free for guys in the military, guys in intelligence. You can, well, I don't have to know. All you have to do is to follow me. I'll show you where to go. Particularly, I want everyone in intelligence and army to be able to go online, create a computer, to go in there, create a website, to be able to go in there, to interact with AI, to create or interact with the APIs, so that you don't just look at the computer as, or AI as ChatGPT. Is it ChatGPT or ChatGPT? I never use ChatGPT. I use Gemini. So Gemini is what I use. I use Google. So I'm a Google guy because Google is an ecosystem. So if you see what we're building, it's massive. We're building on the Google platform, and most of the stuff there is free. So when you are working with AI, you must understand the cost. If you don't understand the cost, you will never understand what AI is. So AI, it's not free in terms of when you're using APIs. So let's say you want to, let me give you an example. You want to find all the Zimbabweans who are in Harare, who just came from the UK. AI can do that. So there's an API for that. And if you want to link that API into what you're doing, you must pay. If you want to store data, there's what is called reads and writes. That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going to ChatGPT and asking, who are the top 5 journalists in Zimbabwe? Gambakwe, Chingono, ZANU-PF, Darabi. That's not what I'm talking about. Lato, no one knows the top journalist in Zimbabwe. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the real deal, which is to go in there, develop a program. I've currently developed one system that has taken me 2 months to develop on AI. And that is what I'm talking about. We also have a new program that I'm going to be announcing for companies, but that is for another day. Then let's go to our last sponsor, Fixly. So Fixly, if you want someone to paint, fix your electricity, fix your door, carpentry, go to Fixly over here, and then they will assist you. You download the app, and you're done. So that is Fixly over here. Amazing stuff. And I'll give you more details as time goes on. Guys, I think I've covered everything. Let's look at the comments. Wakuda kuita zveku magaya kuvanhu FM. FM is very strange. The most religious people are from the FM. Like there's no one who doesn't come from the FM. Like pastors, what, everybody. But with all those huge numbers, they don't have a university. They don't have a college. They don't have a school. They don't have nothing. That is about to end. It's around 4,900 for a passport. Where? In South Africa or in Zimbabwe? Yes, in Zimbabwe. South Africa, remember my kids are South Africans. We take passports for 300. And they take it in 5 days, they get a call to come and pick it up. It's crazy. And then Zimbabwe, and then let's go. I saw another update of Guru. Is that true? I'll check it out in the afternoon regarding Guru. I am so excited. Guys, going on a 14-day fast is one of the most, or a 30-day fast is one of the most beautiful things you can do. Like, I feel so strong, and it's a blessing to be able to do it. By 30 days, I'll give you an update on what would have happened. There is a lot that needs to happen in our country. And what I like is that if we are together, if we work together, we are going to do so well. Wakoma now, Mnangagwa, they are just about to leave. So you may not see it the way I see it. Mnangagwa is on his way out. We don't want to replace Mnangagwa with another person that has wasted 10 years. The biggest problem Mnangagwa has had is failing to build a strong team. Mnangagwa's team is very weak. Very, very weak. That is the biggest problem. They are so inward looking. They don't perform. They don't deliver. Under Mnangagwa, Zimbabwe has stayed the same. However, do you know what I tell you, that people have been following Mnangagwa? Like, you literally have the most followed president right now, ever since we're the president in Zimbabwe. People want Mnangagwa to deliver, but his time is run out. We don't want to have a next guy who is like Mnangagwa. So let's make this happen. And this needs a lot of focus. And don't start jumping ship right now. So you see people starting to hesitate and doubt themselves and say maybe Mnangagwa should go for 2030. Maybe not. Maybe if there's a referendum. It must be clear. Mnangagwa's term is over. We don't support a third term. We don't support 2030. These guys are quiet now. We don't want to see them coming back. If they come back, we must hit them hard. So if you hear the next person talk about 2030, they must be hit hard, very hard. We don't want that nonsense again, which was happening in 2025. And I'm happy that it's over. So it's over. Guys in ZANU, wait for them. If they come back and start their 2030 thing, Vabate, Bateva now. Vabate, Varege Gudzoka, Pasina ye, I had 2030, Ndianui, Katenda Mavetera, I had 2030, Owen Muda, I had 2030, Uyokuma Swingo, I had 2030, Pasina, Atidukuva Ona Zoka. Don't allow them to come back where we are right now. We are just 12 months from a time when we don't have 2030 and we start planning our future. So don't hesitate now and don't move towards the wrong side. And then move on Russia. It won't happen. Iran, yes, they are going to change the government, but not Russia. Russia is going to be moved on. You should have seen what President Trump said yesterday. So don't be surprised. But the people I want to be moved on is Cuba. Guys, I want Cuba to be moved on. Please, President Trump, move on Cuba. Those guys have made people suffer for 50 years. From Cuba to America, I think it's less than 2 hours. They cut the internet. They make people suffer. The country is a mess. The infrastructure is deteriorated. Please move on Cuba. Those guys must be moved. Those guys who run countries down, Cuba, Venezuela, move on them so fast. They won't even know what happened. We'll be so happy. And then come to Africa. Come to Africa. Please, come to Africa. There are some certain people I want to be moved on. Okay. I think I've covered everything. I'll see you guys later. It's been amazing. And a good day to you all.